Hey everyone, Luke here from Bedford Camera and Video, and I'm wanting to go over what Camera Raw is in Photoshop. So let's kind of get to it. Right now I have this raw file that I shot on my X-T3. If I open that, it'll open into Photoshop Camera Raw. You can notice up at the top here, it'll say Fujifilm X-T3 Camera Raw. This will change depending on, of course, the camera that you use. Now, Camera Raw is a really in-depth kind of plug-in aspect of Photoshop. And what it allows you to do is access the deep information that you get in a RAW file in comparison to a JPEG. So this is kind of your pre-editing area. What you're going to be able to do is get everything the way you want it before you dive into your deep editing in Photoshop. Now, of course, what I'm going to kind of walk through here is really show you some of the different things that you can do in Camera Raw. So up top on this right-hand side, you have a bunch of different tools to use. I'm going to walk through and kind of use a couple of these so you can see what it does. And I'm really going to just kind of start walking through all of these edits. Just like in other editing softwares or even in Lightroom and Photoshop, you have all of your different panels on the right hand side that gives you corrections, your temperature, your exposure, contrast, clarity, saturation, everything right here. You can even, when you're utilizing raw functionality, you can even use your profiles. So for example, the Fujifilm has camera matching color profiles, and I always like to get a nice set of where I use that to get a nice starting point of where I want to be. Now I'm going to kind of walk through and show you all the different things that you can do with Camera Raw. I'm going to get this here. All right, perfect. Add a little clarity. Perfect. All right, so over here you have your highlights, shadows, and your curves aspect of it here. So you can change the entire look of the image through a curves file. Okay, now this is a little different than your typical curves in Photoshop. Right now you have the parametric system right here, but if you go to points, you can click and drag that curve wherever you want. Now, of course, you can go back by Command Z. That'll undo anything that you've just done that you don't want to be permanent. The next tab over, you're going to have sharpening. So you can really get carried away, or you can have as little as you want right here, and that's all a personal preference. So get the sharpening where you want from the get-go. Now, I will say, if you plan on doing a lot of skin retouching once you open this file into Photoshop, I would hang off and not do a lot of sharpening from Camera Raw. Now, the next tab is going to be your HSL adjustments, so your hue, saturation levels, and luminance levels. You can go through and change the color however you really see fit there. The next one's going to be split toning. You can change your highlights and shadows, the color, temperature, color balance of those two different entities. So you can change your highlights to a crazy blue and leave your shadows in a weird red, and then you have a balance between each one. So of course you can balance more towards your shadows or your highlights. Now of course that looks crazy, so I don't want to do that. So you can use the lens correction. A lot of cameras and lenses these days have built-in profiles to help correct any imperfections that lens and camera combination creates, such as vignetting around or a bow in the picture. The next is going to be your effects. You have grain and post-cropping vignetting. You can do all of that before you even get into Photoshop. Presets are really nice. If you already have custom presets loaded into your Photoshop, you can set here and choose any of these different presets and get a quick edit on that photo right away. Now, we'll come back here to our main tab. And if you notice on the top, if you ever need any information on what these photos or what your photo was shot at, it gives you that information. So right above your histogram, you have f2 at 1/200th of a second, 23mm lens at ISO 1000. So that really gives you the readout on what your settings were when you took this photo. So at this point, if you're done and you've got all of the corrections that you want, before we jump into Photoshop, you can do one of two things. You can open it directly into Photoshop by clicking Open Image down at the bottom right, or if that's all you want to do, you can click Save Image on the bottom left. And the Save Image really, it doesn't even open it into Photoshop. It saves it directly out of Camera Raw into the location that you want. This will free up a lot of time in your workflow and make it much faster if that's all you need to do. Of course, you're going to come in here, choose the location, the destination that you want that image saved, file naming, extension, whether you want it a DNG or a JPEG, TIFF, PSD, so on. And that really speeds everything up, so you can click save, it's done, it's out, and you're ready to go. That's just a quick run through of Photoshop Raw and some of the big benefits that it gives you before you even have to get into the full-fledged deep version of Photoshop. You can change a lot of the different aspects of your photograph before you start editing. Now, if this video was helpful, please hit like and subscribe to our channel. My name's Luke from Bedford Camera and Video, and we'll catch you next time.